Annie and I are usually outside, but I've got an appointment early this morning that I've got to leave right after this. Annie, what you doing, girl? Of course, she's right under my chair. There she is. But I think she knows because she's not begging to leave. Normally, she begs me to leave, but I think she knows we're going somewhere. Well, thanks for joining my channel where I talk about mental health and spiritual health. I usually talk about passage from the Bible, but this week I've been going through a book. And let me switch the camera so the image isn't rotated. Hey, good morning, Ryan. Good morning. I'm reading this book called Holding the Word, 5 Ways to Encounter God Through the Scriptures by Bill Mowry. This is Bill's third book. He's one of my adult Bible study / fellowship teachers on Sunday morning. This book just came out this week. I'll put a link in the description. And talks about how to encounter God, because holding the Word is a relational thing. Hey, good morning, Frank. Good morning, BC. Hope everybody slept well tonight. Well, I got my notes here. We're going to talk about chapter 5 in this book called Holding the Word. And chapter 5 is study. So we're going to talk about each chapter is in the word. It's called the word hand. So you hear the Bible, read the Bible, study the Bible, memorize the Bible, and meditate on the Bible. And notice how meditate touches every other finger. So now we're on the middle finger, which is studying the Bible, and we choose to study what we love. Right? I'm sure you guys went to school. You know, whatever it was, you had electives in high school or college, or maybe you went to trade school. You picked something that you loved, right? You wanted to study something that you love. And that's what this chapter is about in Holding the Word. We choose to study what we love. So the first thing that Bill starts talking about is the quote way of the Bible, right? If you work for a company like Hobby Lobby, they probably say, oh, it's the Hobby Lobby way, right? It's the way of doing things. And certain people have their way of doing things. So, oh, my friend has a certain way about her, right? Well, the way of Bible study is not to just accumulate information. Like, oh, I know this happened at this city. And, you know, it's not like that kind of historical study, but it's to know the ways of the author behind the Bible, which is God. So the studying is to understand God's ways better. And what we love, obviously, we're curious about and want to understand more deeply. Think about the best relationships in your life, right? Especially your spouse. Right? Aren't you curious about your spouse and want to understand them more deeply? So the point is not to master the Bible. It's to let it master you. Okay? And what does that mean, or what does that look like? Hey, good morning, Dolly. Good morning, everybody. The Patagonia way. Dolly. So Bible study shapes our interior lives. So when Bill is talking about let it master you, then he goes into shaping our interior lives. And when you think about the friends that you have, the good friends that you have, the ones that you spend a lot of time with, don't they influence you or impact you and how you think and how you are as a person? Right? And the same thing with the Bible. Paul writes in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 16, it shapes your interior, your life, by growing the mind of Christ in us, is what Paul writes. What he means is you become more Christ-like. So when you study the Bible, you become more Christ-like. And Bible study also leads to right belief. And truth is very important to God, Bill writes. And Bible study engages us firsthand in the discovery of truth. Bible study is also the joy of discovery, right? When you study something, you learn something, you discover something, especially about God, it kind of makes the Bible fun, right? So Bible study can actually be fun when you discover and learn new things. And then Bill goes into what does Bible study actually look like? And he used the metaphor of snorkeling versus scuba diving. It's not snorkeling. So snorkeling is like hit or miss study, devotional study, meaning what does the Bible mean to me, or what do I take away from the Bible? What do I like about what I read? Or maybe it's just a quick read and an application. You're not trying to understand the passage and what God's ways are. Or maybe you're just consulting an expert. Maybe you're just reading commentaries and you don't read the actual Bible. That's kind of snorkeling. Bible study is more like diving in to the Bible. And Bill says, just like other things, it's best done in the company of friends, in a relational way, just like reading the Bible or hearing about the Bible. You're trying to get a better relation or have a relational holding of the Bible. That's what holding the Bible is. You're trying to understand God more, so it's better to do it in the company of friends. Now, here's suggestions for beginning Bible students, okay? He gives us suggestions for beginners and suggestions for seasoned Bible students. So for beginners, there's 3 things, but the first one kind of has a 5-part, and you'll see why. The first one is have a plan. So have a study Bible, get a study Bible, or get a reference like the Navigator's Bible Study Handbook. And I pointed that out because Bill's on staff at the Navigators. So you can get the Navigator's Bible Study Handbook or any study Bible. And then this plan, he breaks down into A-E-I-O-U, the vowels of our alphabet. A, ask and answer questions when you're studying the Bible. E, emphasize key words and phrases. I, in your own words, write a verse or sentence out. You know, that means you really truly understand what you're reading. O, other verses. What are other verses that teach a same or similar topic? And how does that idea, what is that idea, or how does it add to your understanding? And then U, meaning Y-O-U. What is an application you can make? So after understanding that verse or passage, what's an application you can make? Then the second thing for beginning Bible students, he says, know the context. We talked about this before, especially in reading. You need to know who the author is, what's the culture and the historical context at the time, who's the audience that the author is actually writing to, and what's the overall theme of that book in the Bible. And that'll help you study better that passage. And then he says start small. Just do 30 minutes a week for a paragraph or a chapter. And that's why it's great to join a Bible study. So that's why I go to two or three Bible studies, 2 or 3 Bible studies a week, right? And usually they're about 45 minutes, not even quite an hour because we pray during that time. So 30 minutes a week for a paragraph or a chapter. And that's where you can go to a Bible study and you're doing it with other people. It's a relational thing. And we all tend to learn better when it's interactive and relational. Now, suggestions for seasoned Bible students. There's 5 here. 1, be curious. Who's the author? What's going through his head? What's the history or culture at the time? Who's the audience? Same thing. You got to know that That's really important when you're reading the Bible, because each book is different, and these books come across a 1,500-year time frame. So obviously the culture and the historical context, the author and the audience are all different for each one of these books. So that's really important to understand. 2, make connections. What are we reading? What are you reading there? And how does it fit into the rest of the Bible? Whether it's prior verses or paragraphs, right? Make connections to what you're reading, to other things in the Bible. And third, form conclusions. And then once you form conclusions, the fourth thing he said is pray. Turn those conclusions into a conversation with God. So if you read a passage and you try to understand God's ways and what he's telling you and or learning something about God, talk to him about it. Pray about it. Kind of have a conversation with him. And the fifth thing is apply it. Hey, good morning, Vicky. Apply it. What's a sin to avoid, maybe, is what you learned in that passage. Maybe it's a promise to pray. Maybe it's an example that you need to follow or avoid, or a command to obey. Or maybe it's simply just new knowledge about God. But in any case, it's something that you can apply to your life going forward. Now that wraps up the suggestions and the chapter on study. We choose to study what we love. So the simple takeaway from this chapter is you can go join a Bible study once a week, which is probably, when you consider the talking at the beginning, and the prayer, maybe you're praying at the end. That's 30 minutes a week for a paragraph, passage, or chapter. Doing 30 to 60 minutes a week in a Bible study is a good way to start if you're not already doing that, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned Bible student. So that's what Bill has to say about study the Bible. And I encourage you guys to get a copy of his book, Holding the Word, 5 Ways to Encounter God Through the Scriptures, by Bill Mowry. Just makes the Bible, the way he is teaching us to approach the Bible, through hearing it, reading it, studying it, memorizing it, and meditating it, it just brings it more alive and helps us have a relationship, a better relationship with our God. Hey, good morning, Angie. So I'll put a link to this in the descriptions. If you guys got any questions, let me know. Oh, I think the book is good because I think especially if you're a beginner, because it tells you how to approach the Bible, explains it. So it's not a regular book, right? That's the most difficult part to understand. Like even the books aren't necessarily in chronological order. Now, of course, the Old Testament and the New Testament and its chunks are in chronological order, but the Old Testament, the books aren't in chronological order. The entire Bible is written over 1,500 years. So it really teaches you how to go about hearing the Bible, maybe when it's preached, reading it, studying it. I think it's really good. And then he gives you different references or ideas on what Bible version to get, which specifically he said, if you're a beginner, the NIV or the ESV, and to probably get a study Bible, because then it'll help you study or understand it better, especially the study Bibles that have a preface to each book, so you can understand the author the context and historical setting at that time and who the audience was and why the author wrote the book or the letter. Because they call letters books in the Bible. So it's a really good thing to have. Frank is a certified scuba diver. He is. Man, scuba diving makes me scared. Scares me. Yeah, read it, Angie. It's a good book. You can find it on Amazon right now. You can get the paperback or the Kindle version. It's only about $15. It's called Holding the Word: 5 Ways to Encounter God Through the Scriptures by Bill Mowry. So you can simply Google Holding the Word by Bill Mowry and it'll come up. All right. Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. I got to get going. I've got a doctor's appointment this morning. So I hope everyone has a great day and thinks about studying the Word and picking up a copy of Bill Mowry's new book called Holding the Word. All right? I helped Frank wake up again. All right, sweet. You're welcome, Frank. It does have a 70s vibe on the cover design. maybe it's dating Bill's age. I don't know. All right. Thanks, Vicky. Appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Angie. It's a kind words. Have a great one. Hopefully we'll see you guys tonight playing more CDs at 8 p.m. Eastern. Peace.